Hello and welcome to Laughing in a Tent. My name is Sarah and I will be your host. And today we'll be talking more about Girls Camp. So this is Girls Camp Part 2 if you would like to see the previous episode about Girls Camp. In the last episode I talked more about the pre-camp prep. So we went over the packing list, which had some interesting modesty things to talk about with very specific swimsuit requirements and lots of having to cover up. And we also talked about doing the fundraiser prior to camp. In this episode, we'll be talking mostly about my first and second years of Girls Camp, as well as some of the camp games and camp songs that formed part of my experience across all of those summers. And for those of you who missed the last episode, just for context, Girls Camp is a camp run by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, also known as the Latter-day Saint or LDS or Mormon Church. And it's for teenagers who are 12 and up, for girls who are 12 and up, basically from 12 to 17 or 18. And there's a lot of just friendship building within just the regional area, and there's a lot of games and skill building, like outdoor skills, and then the most important function is to teach the girls about the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and church teachings and just solidify their personal commitment to the church. And so we'll be talking some more about that today. If you're here just for the songs, feel free to skip ahead. Songs will start around halfway through the video with a song that's called Georgie. So if you want to skip there, you're welcome to. Before then, I'll just be talking about some of my other memories from the first and second years at camp. Before we start, I also really wanted to give a very special thank you to my 2 Patreon subscribers. Thanks to them, I was able to purchase a monthly subscription to a new editing software that made it so much easier to edit this video, like orders of magnitude easier to edit this video. So thank you so much. And if you as well would like to be cool, you can sign up to join my Patreon. In the description below, there's a link, and that'll just help me to make more content and just be able to support this work. So thank you so much again, and I hope you enjoy the video. Toodaloo. Now I wanted to share some memories that I have of Girls Camp, and I'll be giving them mostly in a chronological order. But my first and second year I don't remember too much, so I'll combine them. So I grew up in one area and then I moved away for a year and then came back. So my first year of Girls Camp, I had just moved back to the area I'd grown up in. So all the girls I knew, but we weren't very close, and it seemed like they were much older than I remembered and had a lot of inside jokes that I wasn't privy to, and so that was intimidating. But I did have one really close friend who I had been close with before I left and was still close with. So that was good. And everyone was really nice. One of those years, my group that I was assigned to, so we would be in small groups with one of the older girls as our camp counselor. And the camp counselor girls would be like 16 or older. And either that first or second year, I was a funky flip-flop. So here's a picture of my tie-dye shirt that someone, probably my youth camp leader, my YCL, had decorated prior to camp. So that was fun. We would have different group names, and we'd do a lot of activities with our group. And so that was my name that year. And usually how it would work is there would be an overarching theme for the camp, and then the names of the groups would be spin-offs of that theme. So there was one year, I'll talk about later, where I think the theme was something like the light of the world, like referring to Christ. And then one group would be the stars, one group would be the light bulbs, one group would be the northern lights. So it'd be like little spin-offs of light. And I remember my youth camp leaders, when it was like my first or second year of Girls Camp, were like so old. Like they seemed so grown up, and I think they were only 16 or 17. But I just remember them being so grown up and intimidating by their greatness. And it's just kind of funny. So during camp, one of those really early years, they usually call it like a fireside or a devotional or something, just where all of the girls at the camp will get together and hear a message from one of the leaders. So this time we were listening to, I remember it was a man, I don't remember who he was. He was probably one of the leaders of our local congregation, or like the stake probably, which is like the next up level geographically. But anyway, he told a story. I can't remember if he was telling it about himself or if he was just relaying a story he'd heard somewhere else. But the story went that there was a guy who was Mormon and in high school, and he was playing on a sports team, and the other team got wind that he was Mormon. And so they, like, on the day of the game, they made up this song to, like, really throw him off and insult him so he would be off his game when they played him. And the chant was, "You don't drink, don't smoke, what do you do?" And anyway, it's just, the whole idea was that he was, like, persecuted for being Mormon, but that he stood his ground and he was righteous, and we can be righteous too by not drinking or smoking. I feel like around that time too, me and my friends would talk about how people didn't really know how bad tobacco was for you back in the time of Joseph Smith, and how it was, like, so prophetic that he said not to smoke because prophets just can see into the future and they speak with God, and so we should always trust them because they know things that the world doesn't know. So even, like, modern science can't compare to the prophets. Anyway, I come to find out later that a lot of the word of wisdom, so like the dietary restrictions for Mormons, which would include not smoking, are just things that were in the air that Joseph was breathing when he was coming up with this stuff. So there are other explanations for how Joseph Smith would have thought not to smoke. So, not a huge testimony builder for me anymore. But at the time, I was like, wow, Joseph Smith knew. So that was one of our spiritual devotional things, is what we called them. Another early memory of girls' camp is we did a ropes course. That was really fun. And I remember there was a part where we had to climb a really thin tower and then jump off onto a trapeze or work as a group to help each other climb over this really tall wall or something. I feel like the ropes course also really helps with my confidence, because there was one area of the ropes course where a lot of the girls opted out and I decided to do it anyway, and I was able to complete it, and that was just a really big confidence booster for me. Another early girls' camp memory is I had this girl in my ward who I really looked up to. She was like 16 when I was 12, and she was like my role model. She was so faithful and pretty and friendly and just seemed so cool, and I just wanted to be her. And anyway, there was one time that I was talking with her, and we were talking about her patriarchal blessing. And for those of you who don't know, patriarchal blessings are, I've heard it referred to as Mormon fortune telling. It's basically when you're like 14 or older, it's probably most common when you're like 16 or 17. You'll go meet with a patriarch who's usually an older, very experienced in the church, male congregation member. And he will have been specifically asked by the higher up leadership to be a patriarch. And his job is to meet with whoever wants to come in for their patriarchal blessing, and he'll lay his hands on their head and he'll give them what's called a patriarchal blessing. It's basically a prayer, but it's addressed to the person as if God is speaking to them. So he'll say something to the effect of Sarah, middle name, last name. And then he'll say, in the premortal life, you were really valiant and you spent a lot of time with Jesus. And while you're on earth, your job is to bring people to Christ. And one of your spiritual gifts is patience. And you were saved to come from heaven in this time specifically so that you can fulfill this certain mission. And as you remember to repent, the Spirit will be with you, and you can be raised at the last day and be resurrected and go to heaven when Jesus comes again. And then they'll say your tribe, they'll say a bunch of other stuff. Again, you could probably Google it, or I might go into it in a later video. But it basically just tells you about who you were before you were born and what your mission on earth is and what God thinks of you. And anyway, then he'll close in the name of Jesus Christ, amen. And so I was talking with this friend of mine about her patriarchal blessing. And in her patriarchal blessing, it mentioned that she would marry late in life. And that's such a curse for a Mormon woman. You really want to marry young. If you marry late, it just feels like, why is God waiting to give me a husband? Am I not righteous enough? Is there some lesson I need to learn? Like, what am I doing wrong? And then there's a lot of other people trying to marry you off. I was married, pretty standard for my community. But yeah, if you weren't married before 25, people start worrying, which is so stupid. But anyway, so I was talking to this friend, and she was saying that her patriarchal blessing said she would marry late, and that she was worried about that, but that she really hoped that just meant she would get married when she was 30. And anyway, she's married now. But I just thought it was an interesting thing to look back on, just how much weight we give these blessings, which obviously, as an ex-Mormon, I don't believe are inspired. I think that they're just things that the patriarch just comes up with. I don't think they're from God because I don't believe in God. But it's just interesting to see how much power over our lives that we gave those patriarchal blessings. and how she was like worried about whether she would get married on time for her community. Oh, and a funny thing was, I was also walking with that girl, and we had been hearing a lot about like bears, watch out for bears. And we were walking and we saw like a black bear, like just sitting, I don't know, 100 feet away, and we were so freaked out. But then we were watching it for a second and it was not moving, like at all. And eventually we realized it was a big black trash bag that was like just perfectly arranged to look like a black bear. And so that was funny. So we never actually saw a bear. Oh yeah, and again, like I just remember being really worried about bears that year. And somebody had told me, trigger warning if you're really sensitive to bear stories. This was something that lived rent-free in my head for way too long. But anyway, somebody had told me a story about somebody who had left like some food wrappers or maybe just like actual food in their tent, and then they woke up in the morning and found their head inside a bear's mouth. And I guess the bear let go and this person just hightailed it out of there. It was fine, but just that image of waking up in a bear's mouth, oh my gosh, it killed me. So anyway, I was very concerned about bears. We were very careful to keep our food all locked away where it needed to be. Girls' camp was always just silly and fun. There was a lot of inside jokes, a lot of just hanging out and playing games with the other girls. A few things I remember are we started a fake country with a fake anthem and a fake name and like a whole backstory one year. And we also played a game called Green Glass Door. I won't spoil it. It's like you have to learn a rule. So it'll say, can a cow go through the green glass door? Or can a pepper go through a green glass door? And like the person who knows the answer to the game will just say yes or no. And then you have to try to figure out what's the rule, what objects can go through the green glass door and what things can't. We would also play a lot of just like camp games. Some of them were funny. I remember there was one where like you would be sitting and you would smack your thighs and be like, gum drop, gum drop, gum drop, gum drop. And everyone would be in a circle all doing that. And then somebody would start and they'd do a motion and then they'd throw it to someone else in the group. So it'd be like ducky, 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 ducky. And you'd like point at someone else in the circle. And then they'd have to say ducky, 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 ducky. And I feel like there were some rules, like, I don't think it was just ducky. I think there were other things you would do too, but I can't remember now. But it was one of those like concentration games where like you had to make sure not to miss your cue or do something wrong or you'd be out. I think there was another one called like Big Booty or something. It was like big booty to the left, big booty to the right. I think the premise was like you were like passing treasure or something. I don't remember. I played that once like my first year and we didn't really play it much after that, but I remember that being a thing. Oh, one game that is a classic that like you cannot have girls camp, at least like in my area. You cannot have girls camp without the Skittle game. So the Skittle game is one evening, everybody gets in a circle around the campfire and all the girls pass around a big bag of Skittles. So you pull out a Skittle and depending on the color, that's what you have to share with the group. But basically, the only one anybody cared about was the red Skittle, because the red Skittle was who do you have a crush on? So the rule was that you had to have a crush on somebody. So not very enlightened for any asexuals or lesbians in the group, because like you weren't allowed to be lesbian. So if you're bi, you better hope you like a guy. And if you're straight, then you're in luck. But you have to have a crush. You always have to have a crush. And the rule was like, if you didn't have a crush, you have to make up somebody. Because like you have to have a crush. And we were all there for the red Skittle. So we'd pass around this bag of Skittles and you draw a color. And if it was like yellow, you'd be like, what's your favorite hobby? Or if it was green, it would be like, what's your favorite place you've visited? Or what's your dream vacation? But we'd all just be waiting. It was like basically roulette. Like we'd just be waiting for the red Skittle. And then somebody would draw the red Skittle, and it had to be someone that we all knew as well. So it had to be somebody in the stake or at like school or something. Some people in the group had to know this person. So if you had a crush on someone that nobody knew, you'd have to pick your favorite guy out of all the people they knew. So a lot of times growing up, I would have a crush in my congregation or like a crush in my stake, which is like the next regional level. And then I'd have a crush at school or something. You gotta have plenty of these sorted out so that you can tell people when it comes up. So even if you didn't like the guy all that much, you just had to pick your favorite who people in the group knew. But if you actually did have a big crush on them, then obviously that was better. And we would all get excited about it and be like, oh, no way, what do you like about it? And it'd just be a lot of ruckus. There was one year, actually, when I was older, one of the later years of Girls Camp, that it was a smaller group, and I don't remember why, but we didn't have a lot of time one particular night, but we wanted to play the Skittle game. And we all admitted to each other that we were only there for the red Skittles. And so we decided to just go around in a circle telling everyone who our crushes were and call it a night. So we didn't even do the roulette thing. We just told everyone our crushes, just for simplification. And we'd usually have all the girls and then some of the female leaders. I don't think we usually had any of the men present for the Skittle game because it's crushes. You gotta keep it within the girls. And in retrospect, it's a little bit problematic because, again, you're lying about a crush and it can only be heterosexual crushes. Absolutely. If somebody was to say they had a crush on a girl, like that was a hard no. Hard no. And if they said they didn't have a crush on anybody, again, they'd be forced to come up with somebody. So not necessarily the most inclusive thing. But for those whom it worked, it was a fun game. We're going to take a very brief break to have a word from our sponsor. Since I don't have any brand deals yet, I just wanted to take a moment to plug my Patreon. Thanks to those who already signed up. Because of the donations, I was able to buy this new editing software, which I love. And so if you would like to also help support this work, then there's a link in the description. If donating isn't really something that you can do right now, that's totally fine, no pressure at all. I would also love if you would like, subscribe, share, comment, anything you can do to help boost this video so that I can bring this content to more people and help create a safe space to relate about experiences within Mormonism. So thank you again and hope you enjoy the rest of the video. Another classic staple of Girls Camp was camp songs. So I actually was able to find my songbook. So here's a picture of my songbook. And this was the year that I was a youth camp leader over my group, which was the Northern Lights. And as you can see, it has Find Your Joy was the theme of the camp that year. And then, yeah, here are all the songs. So I didn't include the spiritual songs because they're not as fun. But we would have some spiritual songs. I think it was like My Heavenly Father Loves Me, I think was one of them. Just like hymns. And we would usually sing those like at the devotionals. But then we also had like camp songs that we would sing pretty much exclusively at camp. And it'd just be a thing that we would do if we were ever on a bus or like doing a hike, or like sometimes before a fun camp activity, we'd sing one together. Or like whenever your small group with your youth camp leader was together and you were just killing time, you could sing some songs. So I thought I would sing for you guys a couple of my favorites. And sorry, my voice is tired already because I've been talking for a minute. So we'll see how this goes. Let me get some water first. So I'll probably just go down this list and make commentary about them and or sing some of the best ones. So here we got. So I always thought this one was quite odd, but it's funny. So this one's called Georgie, and here it goes. Every morning at 8:30 I go to Georgie, and every morning at 8:30 he goes to me. No need to knock, no need to ring, for as I rub my eyes, I open the window, pop out my head and go to Georgie. Every morning at 8:30 I go to Georgie, and every morning at 8:30 he goes to me. No need to knock, no need to ring, for as I rub my eyes, I open the window, pop out my head, down goes the window, off goes my head, and goes Georgie. Plot twist. I always thought that one was really weird, but it's funny too, just because it's unexpected. This next one is called High-Low. So this was one that we would do as a find my phone for other people. So if you were ever hiking and you got lost, like this is what they would tell you to say. Or if a group got separated from the other group, this is what we would say. And it's like kind of a like silly thing. And so sometimes we just say it if we saw the other group like nearby or something. But it goes, high, low, many, many, cow, cow, chow, chow, pee, wow, wow, yoo-hoo. And we would just yell that through the woods. So that was fun. And the next one was my all-time favorite of the songs. I was so boy crazy. So I loved this one. So I'll stand up for this one to get the movements in. Here, can I sit on my chair in a way that works? Sit on the back of it. Let's see if I die. So I'd be sitting by two other girls, and you would do motions like this, and then hit the next girl's knee. And so it would go like that. So it went, I know a Mormon boy, he is my pride and joy. He knows most everything from Alma on down. Woo! Someday I'll be his wife, we'll have eternal life. Oh, how I love my Mormon boy. Woo! Mormen. More men. Do it again. And then we do the I know a Mormon boy again. So that was a really fun one. And just silly, because obviously you're spelling more men, and you're also Mormon, and funny play on words. So that was a good one. I love the mountains. I never really sang this one. I don't really know what this one's about, so gonna skip that one. My aunt came back, same story. I don't know that one. Once an Austrian went yodeling, we sang a lot. It's like stupid long, so I'll just do the abridged version. It goes, once an Austrian went yodeling on a mountain high, when along came an avalanche interrupting his cry. Oh, yo, oh, laka kia, swish. Oh, laka kia, swish. Oh, laka kia, oh. And it goes through various things that he runs into. So he runs into an avalanche, he runs into... This one's a little bit different than the one we did. Wait, this one's totally different than what we did. Let's see, the one I did. So once an Austrian went yodeling on a mountain so high, when along came an avalanche interrupting his cry. Oh, hey, yo, oh, laka kia, swish, grr, ha, ha, tss, bang, bang, flutter, flutter, ass. Let's... Swish is an avalanche, grr is a bear, ha, ha, I think is a Saint Bernard. I think is a milkmaid, is him kissing the milkmaid. Bang, bang is her father shooting him. Flutter, flutter is Saint Peter coming for him after he's been shot by the milkmaid's dad. And then I think is a scary fox, which feels very anticlimactic, but anyway, that is the song. So that was a fun one that we did a lot. This, I guess, is a different version, but anyway, they would print these so we would know the words when we were singing camp songs. And this little booklet we would carry around on a lanyard, and they would get so nasty throughout camp because like you have like dirt on your fingers and stuff, and you're just wearing it for 3 days out in the woods. But it would have like your schedule, and it would have your songs or like scriptures they wanted you to have on hand or whatever. All right. Oh yeah, the Princess Pat. This was a fun one. Get my voice back. All right. The Princess Pat, and this is like a call and repeat, so y'all would call after me. So, the Princess Pat lived in a tree. She sailed across the 7 seas. She sailed across the channel too, and brought with her a rig of bamboo. Now what is that? It's something made by the Princess Pat, It's red and gold, and purple too. That's why it's called a rig of bamboo. Now Captain Dan and his loyal crew, they sailed across the channel too, but their ship sank. I think we did ship sank, and yours will too, if you don't take a rig of bamboo. And then you do the chorus again. Oh, rig of bamboo, now what is that? And then, yeah, so rise and shine. The Lord told Noah, there's gonna be a floody, Lord told Noah, there's gonna be a floody. Get those animals out of the muddy, children of the Lord. Oh, rise and shout and sing out your glory. Rise and shout and sing out your glory. Rise and shout and sing out your glory, children of the Lord. So Noah, he built him an arky. Noah, he built him an arky. Built it out of hickory, barky, children of the Lord. The animals, they came on by twosies. Animals, they came on by twosies. Elephants and kangaroosies, children of the Lord. It rained and poured for 40 daisies. Rained and poured for 40 daisies. Almost drove those animals crazy, children of the Lord. This is kind of long. Everything was fine and dandy, children of the Lord. The animals that came off by 3 Z's must have been those birds and beesies. And I think I learned this song at an age where I did not know what that meant. And so I've grown up and I'm like, oh, that's what that meant. This is the end of our story. Everything is hunky-dory, children of the Lord. So that's a fun one. Oh, here's another good one. Sippin' cider. The cutest boy. And this is another call and repeat. I think it's the same tune as Princess Pat, actually. But here it goes. The cutest boy I ever saw was sipping cider through a straw. The cutest boy I ever saw was sipping cider through a straw. Diddly ha ha. I asked him if he'd show me how to sip that cider through a straw. I asked him if he'd show me how to sip that cider through a straw. Diddly ha ha. He said, of course, he'd show me how to sip that cider through a straw. He said, of course, he'd show me how to sip that cider through a straw. Diddly ha ha. First cheek to cheek, then jaw to jaw, we sip that cider through a straw. First cheek to cheek, then jaw to jaw, we sip that cider through a straw. Diddly ha ha. Then once or twice, that straw would slip, and we'd sip cider, lip to lip. And once or twice, that straw would slip, and we'd sip cider, lip to lip. Diddly ha ha. That's how I got my mother-in-law, and 49 kids that call me mom. That's how I got my mother-in-law, and 49 kids that call me ma. Diddly ha ha. The moral of this story is don't sip that cider through a straw. The moral of the story is don't sip that cider through a straw. Diddly ha ha. Drink milk. So there you have it. Don't sip cider, drink milk. Yeah, so that's all the songs. I guess I sang all of them. That's great because that'll be a good title for this. Anyway. Yeah, songs were a classic, always had to be a part of Girls Camp. And then hair braiding. As you can see, I did my hair today. It's like kind of too short for a braid, but did it for you guys. Also cute. I don't know. It's kind of working. It's mostly falling out though. Anywho, but yeah, hair braiding was a really big thing. And people would do just French braid pigtails, super common. Also, just French braid, one of them. Some people would get really crazy and they would make like hearts on the back of people's heads or just really intricate braid situations, and that was pretty cool. So if you knew how to French braid or just braid really well, then that was a great asset for Girls Camp, and a lot of people would want to come get their hair braided by you. And a lot of times, like, you'd get it braided really tight, like the first day, and just kind of let it like loosen over the next couple days. That was just the Girls Camp aesthetic. Also, towards the end of the week, we would do paper plate awards a lot of times. So the YCL for your group, so like the 16, 17, 18-year-old girl who's leading the small groups, would just get a paper plate, might look like this. They'd put your name on it and something they love about you or something, just make it cute, and then send you home with that as like an award. And sometimes they would read it out too, like this is the blah 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 award. Then they'd be like, this person got the award because they did this, and then they'd give it to you in front of the group. And so it's just a way to honor the campers at the end of the week. So yeah, that's about it for my early Girls Camp memories. So next time we'll talk about my third year and on. So stay tuned, and I can't wait to talk to you guys next time. This has been really fun, so please share, subscribe, comment. I would really love to keep doing this, and I've been like actually really hyped about how many people have already seen the video. Like, I didn't think anybody would even be able to find me at this point at all. So thank you for anything y'all have done to interact or watch to help the algorithm know to push this to more people. So I would really appreciate anything else you can do to boost it in the algorithm, liking, commenting, sharing, all of that. And then I can hopefully bring this content to more people. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Thanks for watching that video. I'll be back with a part 3 in just a little bit, so stay tuned. And don't forget to keep laughing. Bye-bye.